Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and I had a crazy day today in the Go Battle League. Starting at 30-29 elo, I went on a 14-game win streak live on stream with a powerful Open Great League team. When the dust settled, I was 32-15 elo and ranked 17th in the entire world. Now the team I used is Furret, Forretress, and Regidrago, and there's a pretty simple strategy. Try and use Furret to force alignment, as with switch advantage, the Regidrago Forretress core is extremely strong. No team is perfect, every team will have its weaknesses, like this team is very soft to annihilate, but the team ended up producing great results. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and we're already off to a pretty nice start in game number 1, Furret into Shadow Scizor. Scizor is going to strike first with a Trailblaze on the CMP tie, and Furret is going to return fire with the exact same move. Now we're both at +1 attack, and as long as I don't throw with the Furret, the Sucker Punch that sneaks will allow me to get a farm down and win switch advantage. And switch advantage is very helpful when you have a Forretress Regidrago backline. My opponent sends out Galarian Corsola. They're looking to absorb energy and get an incredibly aggressive Astonish farm down. Furret is going to fall short of a second Trailblaze, and now I'm going to be bringing in Regidrago. Regidrago more than happy to absorb a Nightshade, and they're easily in a range where I can knock out with a Breaking Swipe. There's a pivot from my opponent. In the back they have Lapras, and with switch advantage, this game is just completely wrapped up as Forretress has a dominant matchup into Lapras. I intentionally need to make sure that I switch pretty quickly here, as getting to the Rock Tomb before they get their second Sparkling Aria is quite important. This means that my opponent will now need 3 total Sparkling Arias to pick up the KO. This second Sparkling Aria is just not going to cut it when its attack has been debuffed. I commit to the Rock Tomb, that forces my opponent's energy, and now I can comfortably close out the game with Regidrago. They pivot into Corsola to reset the debuff on Lapras, but as long as I manage my energy well with the Regidrago, this game will be a win. So I overfarm quite a bit, Breaking Swipe will KO the Corsola, and this Breaking Swipe plus a few Dragon Breaths should be enough to KO the Lapras. Breaking Swipe lands, 1 Dragon Breath more, and that's a good game. Moving to game number 2, we've got the mirror lead, Furret versus Furret. Now there is a very particular way to play out this matchup, and that is go straight for the Trailblaze right away, and then do not throw another charge move for the remainder of the battle. If you throw a second charge move, your opponent can shield, and with the Sucker Punch that sneaks, they will be able to win alignment. So the play is actually to not throw, but rather just to shield once and fully commit to the farm down. As my Furret, as long as you have a pretty good rank, will get the farm down and exit with back-to-back moves. I'm only going to get one of these moves most likely, but my opponent actually gets 1 turn bring in as they bring in Wigglytuff. If I didn't have switch advantage, I would completely lose this game. But because I do have switch advantage, I'm in a really nice spot, as their Wigglytuff is going to get shredded by the Forretress. In the back, they have Shadow Kanto Marowak, and even if my opponent didn't get the 1 turn bring in and I didn't get the damage on Wigglytuff, this game was still very much going to be over. Regidrago will now get to do what it does best, which is spam out Breaking Swipes, 50-50 chance at an attack drop. Attack drop goes through. This game was already over, but that just completely slammed the door, as now Bone Club won't even knock out. Regidrago will get yet another Breaking Swipe, and if they shield this, I can just Bug Bite down with the Forretress. They do shield, in comes the Forretress, Bug Bites, delete the Marowak, and with a full health Forretress, there's just no way for my opponent to win the game. We move to the next match, Furret into Azumarill. Now this matchup, Furret does lose the Zero Shield, so typically you will have to go down a shield, but neutralizing an Azumarill is very nice considering there's Regidrago in the back that is completely walled. Trailblaze is going to land. I'm always going to be no shield in the first move here because I do survive a play rough pretty comfortably. So I will no shield, opponent running the surprise nuke of Hydro Pump, and that is not what I was hoping to see. Hydro Pump lands, that does way more damage than expected. They pivot into Shadow Sableye, trying to snipe down the Furret, but I have the rank 3 Furret. I hang on, make the Trailblaze, and Trailblaze will pressure a shield from my opponent. They've taken a lot of damage on the Sableye. I now have to make a decision. I know that I can survive whatever they throw on the Forretress, so I'm going to bring in the Forretress, safe in the knowledge that the Azumarill is low enough that I can deal with it with the Regidrago. They're going to fire off another foul play. I should barely survive, and then I'm just going to get energy on the Regidrago. So in comes Regidrago. We snipe them down in the back. What is this Pokemon doing here? There is a Trevenant. I have not seen a Trevenant in years, and this trader has brought out the Trevenant tech. Unfortunately for Trevenant, It is not what it once was, and Regidrago is about to absolutely crush its hopes and dreams. Regidrago does get the full farm down, in comes Azumarill, and even Azumarill just has no hope against the Regidrago. They're much too low. Breaking Swipe picks up the KO, and that's going to be yet another win. I'm greeted with a familiar lead in the next match, again Furret into Shadow Scizor. I'm going to play it out the exact same way. Trailblaze, as soon as I get it, I'm always going to be shielding the move from my opponent, because even if I go down a shield, the important thing is I'm just trying to make a play for alignment. So I will fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze is going to be shielded by my opponent, and now I'm just going to commit to the farm down. My opponent will be firing off the Night Slash to force my final shield, but I'm very okay conceding shields in exchange for switch advantage. So now Furret does exit with energy. In comes an Acid Credilli, and I have seen this team before. Usually the third is Azumarill. Even though I have a very hard check to Credilli with Fortress, I'm going to bring in Regidrago, because Regidrago will be useless against an Azumarill. They're going to go for the Rock Tomb. I'm just going to continue to farm, watching for the switch. There's the switch, but I guessed wrong. That is not an Azumarill. It's going to be Dusclops in the back. So I stay in to fire the -1 Dragon Energy. That's very nice damage, and now I get to bring in the Fortress. Fortress really likes the fact that Dusclops has been chipped. It's going to make this matchup so much cleaner. The thing I will have to keep in mind is the desync in the switch timers. That is my opponent's avenue to win this game. I will be firing off the Sand Tomb right before they get their move, and they will have to shield this or they will go down. But now they can take advantage of the desync in the timers. They bank the move on Dusclops, in comes Credilli, and Credilli will fire off the Rock Tomb. If I don't farm down and leave with a move, I lose the game, but I exit with the Breaking Swipe loaded. By the narrowest of margins, we escape. Honestly, I feel that I got pretty significantly outplayed in this game, but the team was strong enough that I was able to take the win. We move to the next game, Furret into Unova Stunfisk, and the Stunfisk staying in is amazing news for me. Here, I overfarmed by 1, expecting my opponent to catch a Trailblaze, but they actually didn't end up going for it. So I do get to land the Trailblaze, and that's really, really nice damage. My opponent will get to return fire with multiple Mud Bombs, but Furret is very, very bulky, so I'm not too worried about Mud Bombs landing. They're going to fire off another Mud Bomb. That's very okay by me. A Swift would knock out, but I want to exit this matchup double boosted, so I go for the Trailblaze. That picks up the KO, and now when they bring in Araquanid, I am pretty happy here, because I will get to apply a ton of pressure with Swift. Swift is going to land. They're going to get a full farm down, but now I get to bring in Fortress. Fortress does great against Araquanid, even if they connect with a Water Pulse. That's not much of a problem. They go for the Water Pulse in the back. Oh, it's Golisopod, and they're running the double bug water strat in the back. Rock Tomb is going to grab a shield from my opponent, and now I get to send in Regidrago. Regidrago really likes the fact that Golisopod has been debuffed. X-Scissor, not nearly as effective as it once was, and I'm just going to be spamming out Breaking Swipes. Breaking Swipe is going to be shielded. We do see a second debuff get applied, and the amount of debuffs we have in our backline just makes life absolutely miserable for opponents. Great overfarm there by my opponent Thorn right before I get my move, but I'm just going to shield and fully farm them all the way down. In comes Araquanid. They can't let the farm down happen, but I just have the Dragon Energy loaded. That KOs the Araquanid, and my opponent is going to resign the match. We move to the next game, and what a lead. Furret into Jellicent. Opponent safe switches into Fortress, and this is quite bad. I don't have a good check to this Pokemon, so I end up banking energy on Furret and then bringing in my own Fortress. The good news for me is as long as I get rid of my Fortress, I have pretty good play into the Jellicent, as Regidrago does very fine there. Regidrago loves type neutral matchups, so even if I lose Switch, this can set up the potential for me to get a nasty farm down with Furret, as Furret's energy is very, very flexible. Rock Tomb is going to land. I don't get the Sand Tomb. I bring in Furret. My opponent pivots into Typhlosion, and they were very weak to a Furret up energy. Typhlosion is going to grab the shield. In comes Regidrago, and my opponent realizes there's just no winning this game. We move to the next match, Furret into Tinkaton, and unfortunately, this is where the win streak is going to end. I am triple weak to Tinkaton, so there's just no winning this. I bank a ton of energy for later, pivot in Fortress, hoping against hope that they're just weak to Fortress, and they have to stay in to throw a move, and they do just that. They stay in to throw a Bulldoze. Maybe there's a chance. They are going to fire off Bulldoze after Bulldoze. There is the debuff. Switch clocks are heavily misaligned. I will get a Sand Tomb, But even though I can hit for super effective damage with Sand Tomb Fortress does lose to Tinkaton. I mentioned at the start, this team is very soft to Annihilate. This team is also incredibly soft to Tinkaton. Tinkaton going to make it to another move. I was not able to get that Sand Tomb in time. Bulldoze KOs. I was able to get a lot of damage onto that Tinkaton, but my goodness, this is going to be a tough game to win. Trailblaze is going to land. That will not KO. I will fire off Trailblaze number 2 on the CMP tie. At the very least, I exit this matchup healthy and double boosted. But out comes Galarian Moltres, and that's not what I was hoping to see. Galarian Moltres going to get hit with a double boosted Swift. If it lands, which it does, that's going to be big damage. At the very least, I was able to get rid of that Tinkaton. Moltres Fly is going to be shielded. I'm firing off another Fly. I debated going for the Trailblaze there, but I'm just getting this shield back. Opponent, can they get the farm down? No, they're actually the one getting farmed down, so they're forced to fire off energy. And it's going to be up to Regidrago to clutch this game. We snipe down with a Dragon Breath. In the back is a Blastoise, and this game will come down to a 50-50 call. I expect they're going to no shield, so I full send. Dragon Energy lands through the shield, and that is game winning, and somehow we escape queuing into a Tinkaton. We have a tough opponent in the next match, rise to occasion, and a bad lead, Furret into Moltres. For this bad lead, I have no ability to win Switch, so I save Switch into the Fortress. Rise banks a Brave Bird for later, brings out Clodsire, and this is just going from bad to worse. But with the Clodsire switching in so late, I'm actually able to get a Sand Tomb into a Rock Tomb before he gets a move. This Rock Tomb is critically important, as this means I'm not going to be in danger of getting knocked out by an Earthquake. So Earthquake's going to land, I tank that very comfortably, and now I'm just waiting for my switch clock to be up. I bank some energy, send in the Furret, and he's debuffed, so I'm more than happy to let this go. Rise is going to end up going for a debuff Stone Edge and switching back into the Moltres. Moltres does have so much banked energy. Swift is going to land. That does do some valuable damage. He's going to be firing off a move. I let it go. Fly should not knock out here, and it doesn't. The rank 3 Furret survives, putting the team on his back. 1 HP, gets the Swift, and forces the shield. In comes Fortress, the threat of a Rock Tomb forcing the energy from the Moltres, and it's all up to Regidrago to close out this game. Regidrago, up energy, up a shield, and it's going to be up in the win column as it's Shadow Quagsire in the back. I could probably win the game straight Breaking Swipe, but we are going to full send to the Dragon Energy just to guarantee this victory. I will be shielding up here. We will see the bait on the Aqua Tail. In comes the Clodsire. Clodsire will get the Stone Edge, but I can just shield, farm down, and take the win. That entire game was flipped by Furret surviving on 1 HP and forcing a shield from the Moltres. We see a pretty okay lead in the next match, Furret into Shadow Marowak. Usually where Shadow Marowak exists, there's probably a Wigglytuff or a Bastiodon. Bastiodon, obviously a Pokemon that this team is somewhat soft to. Furret does have play in the 2s, but obviously the back 2 Pokemon are not fans of Basti whatsoever. My opponent is going to be firing off Bone Club number 2. I do get outpaced in this matchup. I no-shield the Bone Club, and I'm just going for the Swift. Boosted Swift will not knock out here, but it's going to get my opponent low enough that I can survive the Mud Slap, get the farm down with fractional HP, and win alignment. In comes a Dunsparce, and I have not seen a Dunsparce in ages. We saw a Trevenant, a Dunsparce. People at Leaderboard Elo are running some pretty interesting blasts from the past here, some old meta Pokemon. Drill Run is going to land, and that just does pathetic damage into the Fortress. Fortress going to make that damage even worse with a -1 attack debuff from a Rock Tomb. I may actually be able to farm down here. It's going to be very, very close. Dunsparce does have some pretty solid bulk to it. Come on, Fortress. Get this farm down. No, I failed the farm down, and I'm forced to fire off the Sand Tomb on charge attack priority. The Sand Tomb picks up the knockout. In the back is going to be Diggersby, and I am just going straight for the Breaking Swipe. It's a 50-50 chance to win the game on the spot. If I don't get the debuff, I'm still fine here, but if I get the debuff, it effectively ends the game instantly. I get the debuff, the game is over. Scorching Sands is just not going to do much of anything when it's -1, and I can just win the game straight Breaking Swipe. So I will fire off another Breaking Swipe. That's going to get the shield. This Breaking Swipe does not get the debuff, and I will be committing the shield as they go for another Scorching Sands. That Scorching Sands does not get the debuff either. This Breaking Swipe, they can probably hang on here. It's not going to be by much. Breaking Swipe lands. They're on very low HP. We're going to catch onto the Fortress. We didn't have to do that, but we're going to get the catch anyway. anyway. They undercharge the Scorching Sands, we farm down, and take the win. Picking up a very tricky lead in the next match. What I should do is just stay in here, but I try and get fancy, and I get punished for it. Oh my goodness. The far better play is to play it out with Furret, soft lose it, get farm with Fortress, and then give 2 shields to Regidrago. But I messed up. I tried to get fancy, catch an energy ball, it backfires. Now they have a Jumpluff with a massive amount of energy, and on top of that, they have a Diggersby completely destroying my Fortress. So this is probably going to be where the win streak comes to an end. I'm able to get some nice damage into this Diggersby because they let 2 Sand Tombs land, but it's still not looking great for me here. I bring in the Furret. I will fire off the Trailblaze because I need to boost up my damage. They're going to be bringing back in the Jumpluff, and when they do, I'm not threatened by any one move, but I need to get some damage on this Pokemon. Aerial Ace is going to connect. The fact that they threw Aerial Ace does make me think they are Energy Ball Aerial Ace, so I will fire off the Swift. That does do some pretty respectable damage, and now my opponent is probably going to go for the harder hitting move here. It is going to be the Energy Ball. Energy Ball does not knock out, but this Aerial Ace after definitely will. I'm gonna need my Regidrago to sweep in the back, and it can, as it's Feraligatr as their final Pokemon. Regidrago can 2-shield farm this all the way down, but I do want to throw at least 1 Breaking Swipe, because this way I can survive with extra health if I get the debuff. It's a 50-50 chance. Breaking Swipe does get the debuff, and this is only a Hydro Cannon. They didn't build up, so I don't have to respect it. Now, Regidrago is just gonna farm all the way down. They do not get a 3rd Hydro Cannon, and I'm basically at the back-to-back Breaking Swipes. And this game, despite how poorly I played it, will end in victory as Regidrago farms down. And here is me claiming the final set to get to 32-15 elo. This win streak is still technically ongoing. I never lost. I just ran out of opponents when I got up to 17th in the world and ended stream shortly thereafter. All in all, I think this is a team that is very, very strong. It obviously has its weaknesses. Tinkaton is an absolute disaster for it, but Tinkaton is not played a lot at the current moment, just because Tinkaton does have its weaknesses to other strong meta threats like Shadow Scizor. I do think probably the team's most uncomfortable matchup is into Annihilape. I did beat 1 Annihilape as a part of this win streak, but it was a really, really difficult game. So if you see an Annihilape on the lead, you kind of just have to sack the Furret and then try and sweep with Fortress in the back. Basically use Furret plus the Regidrago to get rid of the Annihilape, and then hope that it's like Dugong and something else in the back that Fortress can beat. It's going to be a really tough game regardless, but I feel that into the non-Annihilape teams, this team is really favored in a lot of situations. Obviously, if you're trying to target people running this team, then running something like a Tinkaton or an Annihilape could be a pretty good way to do so. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.